Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. 4 months ago, I did a review of the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus where I talked about pretty much everything from the unboxing, design, gameplay experience, and hardware, and I followed that video up with another one when I compared it to the ROG Ally X, and I'll link both of those videos down in the description box. Because in this one, I kind of just wanted to talk to you guys about how it's been going with the Claw 8 over the past 4 months. Oh, and by the way, MSI did not send me over the Claw 8. I'm a small channel here, guys. One of the main stars of the show to me, at least all this time later, is still the 8-inch IPS touchscreen. To recap, it has a funky max resolution of 1200p at a 16:10 aspect ratio and a max refresh rate of 120Hz with support for VRR. Size-wise, when you compare it to something like the Ally X, the extra 1 inch on the screen seems to make a big difference. Like, it feels bigger than just an inch difference. Even though it has a lower PPI than the Ally X, 283 versus 315, at these screen sizes, it's really hard to tell the difference. In my initial review, the adjective that I used to describe it was beautiful 8-inch IPS touchscreen display. And a lot of you were like, non-OLED and beautiful? That must be an oxymoron. And okay, maybe I won't use the word beautiful, but it still looks great. Okay, I'll use the word great. Not beautiful, but great. I'm still loving the speakers on the Claw 8, which are seriously fantastic. These are front-firing speakers rated at 2 watts each, with support for DTS and high-res audio. Obviously, having great speakers makes the handheld experience that much better, and I've been seriously impressed with the quality of the speakers.
Sometimes you win some, and sometimes you won't. We could be everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want. We could be everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be anything that we want.
What's definitely quieter than the speakers are the fans, with MSI's Intraflow thermal design. I don't have a noise meter, but according to Tech Power Up, at 20 watts, noise was under 38A weighted decibels, and at 30 watts, it was around 41A weighted decibels, both great results. To this day, no matter how high the TDP or intense the game becomes, the fans are damn near undetectable. As far as general physical design and ergonomics, it still feels good to play, whether I'm sitting up or lying down. Even though it's a big device, it really doesn't feel uncomfortable to play for long periods of time. The thumbsticks, triggers, and face buttons still all feel easy to use, with my only complaint being that I wish the triggers were just a bit bigger, as I think that would help a little bit with ergonomics. I still think that the D-pad sits a bit high for my liking and feels just a bit stiff. I definitely still prefer the D-pad on the Ally X. Of course, durability has been fantastic with Hall effect sensors in both the triggers and the thumbsticks. Build quality is awesome, and I've had no complaints using it on the go. Another thing I enjoy are the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and I continue to use at least one of them to connect to my monitor for a 1-cable setup. Now, why would I do this? Well, simply because the Claw 8 functions really well as a mini PC. In my specific situation, I don't have a gaming PC or room for one on my small desk in the studio, so the Claw 8 comes in really handy if I want to get in some gaming on that setup. Effectively, it's just Windows plugged in, so anything that you could do with a normal PC, you can do with the Claw 8. General work like scripting this video, and of course, gaming. Yes, of course, this isn't as powerful as a gaming PC, even one that you would build for the price of the MSI Claw 8. But this is more about versatility than anything else. And look, the fact that I can play games like Alien Isolation at as much as 60 frames per second at 4K with no upscaling is pretty nuts for a gaming device that's designed to run at 1200p and speaks volumes about Intel's hardware. In my previous videos, I talked about the hardware a lot in detail, but bear with me again as I kind of want to cover at least some of it again, because in my opinion, it's really what makes the Claw 8 special. The Claw 8 uses the 258V processor that splits things up evenly between 4 performance and 4 efficiency cores, with base clocks at 2.2 GHz and P cores boosting up to 4.8 GHz. While the Z1 Extreme in the Ally X has better multi-core performance, overall the 16 threads versus the 8 of the 258V, Intel went in a completely different direction and prioritized efficiency over raw power. Just to remind you, Intel ditched hyperthreading completely here, which allowed them to create a much more leaner chip with just those 8 threads. Instead of loading P cores first and letting overflow hit E cores, Lunar Lake distributes work evenly across all cores for better efficiency and therefore removing overhead of managing extra threads. The result is that the 258V can be happier at lower power, while the Z1 Extreme needs typically around 25 to 30 watts to reach its real potential due to its higher thread count and larger iGPU. The Battlemage Arc 140V GPU is equally awesome. Now, despite its average-ish 4.2 teraflops throughput compared to the Z1 Extreme, it can leverage XMX AI engines for XeSS upscaling, so it doesn't need huge amounts of raw shader power to maintain good frame rates. It also processes triangles and pixels more efficiently, so its ALUs are generally more productive rather than hanging around waiting for data. I've been enjoying all sorts of games on the Claw 8. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle runs really well, especially with the game's support for XeSS. Cyberpunk, of course, is another one that runs great, and being able to comfortably play this on a handheld is still a bit strange, given what the game demands. God of War 2018 plays fantastic, as well as the Callisto Protocol, Jedi Survivor, and as mentioned, Alien Isolation. Outside of those major titles, I'm playing games like Hollow Knight, the original Doom, Hades, and Pentiment, all games of course that don't require a whole lot of power, but still look great on the 8-inch screen. Because I made a mistake in my last video when I benchmarked the MSI Claw 8 against the Ally X, I left the Claw 8 at its native 1200p and the Ally X at its native 1080p. Let me show you some updated benchmarks to give you an idea of the raw performance comparison between the Claw 8 and the Ally X. As far as availability, stock seems to have normalized a little bit more and prices have remained relatively the same. Now, because of the tariff situation in the US, the price of the Claw 8 has gone up by $100 from $899 to $999, whereas in Canada, the price seems to have remained pretty much the same since release at $1,299 Canadian dollars, although I have seen some weirdness around this in some cases. This past July, there was a new, more expensive version released called the Polar Tempest Edition. The only differences being the new 2TB SKU and the new color, which MSI calls glittering white. As you can imagine, I do not think that it's worth the price upgrade over the original Claw 8. Over the last few months, there have been what I would say 4 main updates to the Claw 8. The first being a critical Lunar Lake driver, the second being an update to CentreM, the third being a firmware update, and the last being a BIOS update. Let's start with Intel. Now, in June of this year, they released a new driver update, version 6877. If you're an early adopter and you remember those little stutters that happened when a menu icon beeped or a character started talking, this is what that solves. Now, I would say that 6877 isn't the latest driver to help the Claw 8, but I would say at bare minimum, it's the one that you want. As of the making of this video, the latest WQHL driver is 7026, which is what I have, and that one fixes some issues with Black Ops 6 and Final Fantasy 16. The easiest way to get this one, in my opinion, is just to use Intel's driver and support assistant, download the latest WQHL driver, install it, and then reboot. CentreM also got a mid-2025 update. Now, one thing that I initially complained about when I first reviewed the MSI Claw 8 was that CentreM only had 3 fixed TDP settings, namely 8, 17, and 30 watts. In some cases, 17 felt a bit too low, and 30 felt a bit too high, and I was wishing that there was a way for me to set at least a 25 watt TDP setting. Well, with the new update, manual mode is now a true manual mode with an actual slider. And it also gives you another slider, the PL2 setting or a short boost setting, that effectively allows the 258V to temporarily boost itself in busier scenarios. The second thing that you actually get here too is that per Intel's guidance, CentreM now enforces at least a 1 watt boost headroom above your TDP setting, which further reduces stuttering. To get this one, it's pretty simple. Just go to Live Update and update Center M. As of the making of this video, there's a new firmware update released, version 2.21, that effectively fixes some gamepad/controller issues, specifically a dead zone issue that has been plaguing the Claw 8 since its original release. If you're an early adopter of the Claw 8 and love your FPS titles, you're probably gonna love this update. MSI also pushed a new BIOS update, this one, which I will refer to as 10D. This one improves standby, stabilizes charging, and makes fan and power behavior more predictable, which pairs nicely with the Center M's new TDP updates. You can grab this from the Claw 8 support page under BIOS and just run the included Windows flasher, which lets you update the BIOS straight from Windows without needing a boot disk. Just make sure you're plugged into AC power before running the update. The Claw 8, as a gaming handheld, just sort of ticks all the right boxes for me. Everything from the screen size, design and ergonomics, Hall effect sensors in the triggers and the thumbsticks, fan noise or lack thereof, and overall gaming performance. And I can't stress enough that for a handheld, the performance is seriously impressive. Intel's hardware here, in my opinion, is sometimes a little underappreciated, and I don't think that Lunar Lake gets the recognition it deserves, specifically in its efficiency upgrades over Meteor Lake. These efficiencies allow the 258V to perform well at lower TDPs, and the 140V's XMX engines let it lean on XeSS, so you don't need huge raster numbers to hit smooth frames. Is it perfect? No. The screen, though big for a handheld, can still get cramped at times depending on the UI, but that's a handheld issue in general. 1200p isn't widely supported yet by all games, and sometimes you get black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. At 500 nits, it lacks HDR support, and of course, it's not an OLED. Also, in bright rooms, reflections can sometimes be an issue. Surprise, surprise, using Windows 11 on a handheld still sucks, and XeSS still doesn't have the wide support of DLSS and FSR, but I hope it's something that continues to improve in the future. Another complaint that I had about Center M when I initially reviewed it was that I thought it just needed to mature a bit more, as I found it unreliable in a lot of cases. Now, 4 months later, it's still not perfect, but I'm happy to say that the issues aren't as abundant, and Center M appears to be getting better. Yeah, of course, there's always going to be new devices on the horizon. The Lenovo Legion Go 2 coming out next month, the ROG Xbox Ally also coming out next month, with the Steam Deck 2, whenever that's coming out. But I think, for the moment, the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus has at least set a standard of what a gaming handheld can be, not only in just design and gameplay performance, but also for support from both MSI and Intel. Yes, it's an expensive device. Yes, for the same price, you can build a much more powerful gaming PC. But that's not the point. This is a handheld device that can run AAA titles at more than impressive frame rates for its size, even if some of the games have to be run at lower presets with some upscaling help. I'll have to give credit where credit is due. The Claw 8 is better today than it was when I initially reviewed it, and that's because MSI and Intel have continued to ship fixes. This is a good device, and I'm still enjoying it. That's about all I have for this one, guys. If you're still here, thank you for your time as always. Drop me a Lunar Lake down below, just so I can give you a like for sticking around until the end of the video. If you like this video, you know what to do. Please remember to hit that like button, and please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you know when I release new videos. Also, please consider sharing this video if you think it would be helpful to somebody else. I'm also recently on Patreon, where I plan to post more behind the scenes and personal exclusive updates on that side, so if you're interested in any of that stuff from me, I'll leave all the information to that in the description box. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.